Assalamu alaikum. I hope so you are all doing fine. I'm Dr. Muhammad Ali Rabbani, and today we are going to discuss the external features of cerebral cortex. This lecture is a series of a large number of lectures on neuroanatomy. Please explore our YouTube page for more videos and follow us and subscribe us for more videos. So, this is how your brain, this is a picture from Netter's Atlas, by the way. So this is how your brain looks like when you see from the external aspect. So it contains a large number of folds. The folds, the raised areas of those folds are called gyri, gyrus, singular, gyri, plural. And the dip between the two gyri is called sulcus. Let me move to our another model. So this is the brain that the person has. It has two hemispheres. Let us get into the anatomical position. Here, it has two hemispheres, a right and left hemisphere, and there is a sulcus or fissure between them. And the features for both the hemisphere are very similar to one another, so we will see that. And it consists of raised area, these gyri, and the dips between them, the sulci. And there are variations between people, but the general idea, the general structure is fairly constant. So let's start with the major sulci and gyri. So the whole brain, it consists of four lobes. Anteriorly there is a frontal lobe, then there is parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and a temporal lobe. So we will be seeing the different structure that are forming the boundaries of these, the demarcating line between them, and then the sulci and gyri in each of them. So the first sulcus that we're going to see is this horizontal one. This is called the lateral sulcus. This is horizontally running and it is dividing the temporal lobe below with the frontal and parietal lobe above. So this is the lateral sulcus and it is very deep and you can actually follow it on the undersurface. So you can see it is going all the way here between the temporal lobe below and the frontal and parietal lobes above. So if I show you from the pictures on the Netter's Atlas, so this is the lateral sulcus. It is very prominent right here. It has a rami. So this part is the anterior ramus. This part is the ascending ramus, and this major part that we labeled was the posterior ramus. All of these are visible right here too. So here is the anterior ramus, here is the ascending ramus, and here is the posterior ramus going there. So this is that. Now on the lateral surface, we have to now find the central sulcus or central sulcus of Rolando. It may get confusing because there are at least three sulci that you are going to find here. So this is, here is one sulcus, here is one, and here is one. These are the ones that are running vertically from above downwards. So that's how it is easy to find. You find out three vertically parallel running sulci, and the middle one of those, this is the central sulcus, and that divides the forebrain into frontal lobe in front and parietal lobe at the back. So this is the central sulcus. Let me show you again on this picture. Here are the three ones. This is one, and this is the central sulcus. And you can see here, it is not fusing with the lateral sulcus, and there is a gap, there is a gray matter tissue between the two. So that is the lateral sulcus, and to identify it is present between two parallel or middle of the three, and it goes on the superior margin of the medial aspect too. And here you can see too, it can go from the superior aspect, it continues from the superior aspect to the medial surface too. So it continues all the way to the medial aspect. We will see shortly the medial surface of the hemisphere 2. So this is the central sulcus, and anterior to the central sulcus and parallel to it, I will be moving on to the frontal lobe. Three sulci you are going to find out. The one that is anterior to it, that is called the precentral sulcus, and two horizontal sulci are present in front of it. So here is the superior frontal sulcus and here is the inferior frontal sulcus. And here already you have discussed the posterior ramus, the ascending and anterior ramus. So this area above the superior frontal sulcus, this is called superior frontal gyrus. This area between the superior and the inferior frontal sulci, it is the middle frontal gyrus, and that area below the medial frontal, the inferior frontal sulcus, and above the lateral sulcus, this all one is inferior frontal gyrus. The inferior frontal gyrus is further divided into three parts due to the ascending and anterior ramus. This part below the anterior ramus, this is the orbital part because it is lying the orbital cavity right here, and the one that is between the anterior and ascending ramus, this one is the triangular part due to its shape that is very visible here, and this is the opercular part between the ascending and posterior ramus. So these are the different parts. So we have done this. Let us quickly revise the one on the frontal lobe. What we have done till now, we have done lateral sulcus, its posterior ramus, ascending anterior ramus, central sulcus between the two other sulci, anterior to it between central sulcus and precentral sulcus, there is precentral gyrus. There is superior frontal sulcus, inferior frontal sulcus, superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, inferior frontal gyrus, and inferior frontal gyrus is further divided into orbital part inferior to the ascending, to triangular part between the ascending and the anterior, and ascending and the anterior, and opercular part between the ascending and the lateral. And I will quickly revise them on this 3D model again so that we may. Here is the lateral sulcus, its anterior ramus, superior ramus. This is the central sulcus with precentral sulcus. Here is the superior and inferior frontal sulci, and this is the superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, inferior frontal gyrus. It is further divided into the orbital part, triangular part, opercular parts. Precentral gyrus, superior, middle, and inferior frontal gyrus. So these are all the sulci and gyri of frontal lobe. Move on to the parietal lobe. We will start again with the central sulcus. This is the central sulcus, and behind it and parallel to it, this is the precentral sulcus. And one prominent sulcus that is important is intraparietal sulcus, that is dividing the parietal lobe into three lobes. This is post-central gyrus. This is the post-central gyrus. Above the intraparietal sulcus is superior parietal lobule. Below it is inferior parietal lobule. That's it. That's what you want to differentiate in the parietal lobe. The differentiation or the division between parietal and occipital lobe is more prominent on the medial aspect. On the medial aspect, you will see parieto-occipital notch here and pre-occipital notch here. A line joining these two is the demarcation line between the parietal lobe and the occipital lobe. And to the temporal lobe, this is the lateral sulcus. Or from the posterior most aspect, draw a line to the occipital pole. So this demarcates the temporal lobe. So I can erase this part. So this is now the occipital pole, parietal lobe and temporal lobe, and this line is made by joining the parieto-occipital sulcus with the occipital notch, and this line is joined by making the posterior end of the lateral sulcus with the occipital pole. In the parietal lobe, we saw two sulci, posterior, postcentral sulcus and intraparietal sulcus, and three gyri: postcentral gyrus, superior parietal lobule, inferior parietal lobule. We can revise these on the model. So here is the central sulcus, and behind it, this is the postcentral gyrus, and the major sulcus that is present here, that is the parietal, intraparietal, and above and below there is superior and inferior parietal lobules, not very well demarcated in this particular model. And then there is occipital lobe behind it, and this is the occipital sulcus. In the This is a little overcomplicated model, but let me show you anyway. So this is about the parietal lobe. Now moving on to the next, occipital lobe. We discussed it already. It is not physically or prominently differentiated from the other lobes, but you will draw a line between parieto-occipital sulcus or on the notch on the superior aspect and the occipital notch, and behind this all is occipital pole, occipital notch. It shows this occipital pole. This is the calcarine sulcus that is dividing it into upper and lower parts, and sometimes it's present, sometimes it's not. That is the transverse occipital sulcus. There are no separately named gyri right here. On the lateral aspect, the temporal lobe, we discussed it's somewhere here. The boundary between the temporal and parietal and temporal and occipital are not very much prominent, but can be found out using these lines that we drew earlier. Two prominent sulci are here. We will start with the one we did earlier, lateral sulcus, and the two in the temporal lobe are superior temporal sulcus and inferior temporal sulcus. And in between them, there is superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus, and inferior temporal gyrus. It is as simple as that. So there is superior that are not very clearly shown right here. There are superior, middle, and inferior temporal gyri. So that's about that. Let me quickly go through what we've done so far. We have done the lateral sulcus right here, and it has posterior ramus, ascending and anterior ramus. Then we did, I'm just going through sulci, then I will fill it with the gyri. Then there is central sulcus present between two other parallel and goes to the upper margin. There is anterior, there is superior frontal sulcus, there is inferior frontal sulcus, and on the parietal lobe there was post-central sulcus and intraparietal sulcus that were prominent. On the occipital and parietal junction, we can see on the superior margin we'll see parieto-occipital sulcus, and on the inferior margin we will see pre-occipital notch, and imaginary line between them demarcates occipital lobe with the parietal lobe. And if we draw a line from the lateral sulcus to the pole, we will demarcate a boundary between the parietal and temporal lobe too. And temporal lobe, the prominent ones are superior and inferior temporal sulci. Now let's do the gyri. There is pre-central gyrus, there is superior frontal gyrus, there is middle frontal gyrus between the superior and middle, and inferior frontal gyrus between the inferior and lateral. And it is further divided into orbital part, triangular part, and opercular parts. And then behind it there is post-central sulcus. Above and below the intraparietal sulcus there is superior parietal lobule, there is inferior parietal lobule, and occipital pole there is transverse occipital sulcus and calcarine sulcus, and prominently there are sulci we have already done, so no other gyri are named here, at least at this level we are discussing. There is superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus, and inferior temporal gyrus. So that is all of the hemisphere that is seen on the lateral aspect. So if we separate the lips of the lateral sulci, you see the insular gyrus that is present between them. So if we cut here, it is like somewhat like that. There are gyrus, and it goes lateral sulcus goes, and here is another gyrus. This is the insular gyrus that we are seeing. But then there is temporal lobe. So we are seeing from right here, and by separating the lips or by cutting the outward aspect, we can see inside, and is the insular gyrus. So this is a picture from Golden Series PRS neuroanatomy, and you can pause the video. One of these you have gone through, and if there is any visit, go through. This is again a picture of insular gyrus, here made prominent by cutting the external parts. This is a picture from Snell's neuroanatomy. Now let's see the medial aspect. On medial aspect, this whole area is diencephalon. If you have not seen already, I would recommend you going through our video on the diencephalon. Here, all these structures are discussed in very much detail. So I will try to keep on the top of that and not discuss that right now. So here is the spinal cord, medulla oblongata, pons, midbrain, cerebellum, fourth ventricle, aqueduct of Sylvius, here is thalamus, fornix, tilia choroidal, anterior commissure, lamina terminalis, optic chiasm, infundibulum, pituitary, mammillary bodies, oculomotor nerve, anterior perforated substance, aqueduct of Sylvius, superior and inferior colliculi, posterior commissure, habenular commissure, pineal gland, interthalamic adhesion, hypothalamic sulcus, and hypothalamus itself. So these are all the structures that we have done in the previous lectures. Again, I will refer to you to the lectures of diencephalon for the details of this. Okay, now let us focus on the structures that are included in the diencephalon. We will start with this. So this is the corpus callosum, horizontally running fibers from right to left, joining the two hemispheres. And this is the corpus callosum. It has different parts. This is rostrum, the bent part, that is genu, the whole extension is body, and the last part is splenium. Above and parallel to it, another gyrus is there. This gyrus is called cingulate gyrus. This gyrus is called cingulate gyrus. Between cingulate gyrus and the corpus callosum is the sulcus. This sulcus is called callosal sulcus or sulcus of corpus callosum. And the part, the sulcus that is separating cingulate gyrus from the structures above, this is called cingulate sulcus. That's done. So let's see on the brain model. We will select half of the brain and delete it, so we will get the medial surface. So here is the corpus callosum. So this is the corpus callosum, and fornix, this is the thalamus and all the structures we have seen. This is the corpus callosum that I discussed, the rostrum, the genu, the body, the splenium, and above this is the cingulate gyrus. Between them is callosal sulcus, and above this is cingulate sulcus and not labeled here. The thing I wanted to show on the 3D model is the continuation of the central sulcus on the medial aspect. So here was the central sulcus going on, and if you follow the central sulcus on the medial aspect, you see continues downwards here. It continues downward here. So pre-central gyrus continues in front to, and post-central gyrus continues on the medial aspect. And as you can see, the central gyrus don't reach all the way till the cingulate gyrus, and they are two are joined together from the inferior aspect. So this whole area is called paracentral lobe. Let me show you this picture. Here is the central sulcus of Rolando coming from the lateral aspect. Here is the pre-central gyrus, here is the post-central gyrus, and they are joining one another, and this whole area is called paracentral lobe. Functionally, this remains the pre-central gyrus, this remains the post-central gyrus. Don't forget to watch our lecture video on the functional localizations that is on the YouTube channel, and from there you can see what these areas are responsible for. So these are the paracentral lobule and central sulcus. Anterior to it, this is the paracentral lobule, and posterior to it, there is the marginal sulcus, or paracentral sulcus, and marginal sulcus on the posterior aspect, that is a continuation of the cingulate sulcus. So we have done, up till now we have done on the medial aspect, there is corpus callosum, rostrum, cilium, body splenium, above it callosal sulcus, above it cingulate gyrus, above it cingulate sulcus. And there was continuation of central sulcus of Rolando. On anterior and posterior aspect of it, there was paracentral lobules, anteriorly paracentral sulcus, posteriorly marginal sulcus. And all of the rest of the frontal lobe that is just remaining here. This whole part is the medial frontal gyrus. So this is the medial frontal gyrus. Now, two very important sulci, very prominent sulci that are shown right here. These are the parieto-occipital sulcus, and this is the calcarine sulcus. Let us discuss the parieto-occipital sulcus first. It runs from few centimeters anterior to the occipital pole and downwards, and it divides the parietal lobe with the occipital lobe here, and it divides, the division here is very prominent, and this is the one that goes on the lateral aspect, and you saw it right here. You saw it right here. So this is the parieto-occipital sulcus, and this is the calcarine sulcus, and calcarine sulcus is running within the occipital lobe, and it divides the occipital lobe into the area above, that is called the cuneus, and the area below the calcarine sulcus, that is called lingula. That is called lingula. This is the cuneus part, this is the lingula, and we are left with this part. So this is anterior to the cuneus, so this is called precuneus. This is called precuneus. So on the medial aspect, we have done most of the structures that are visible. So that include corpus callosum, rostrum, genome, body, splenium. There is septal pellucidum between corpus callosum and fornix, callosal sulcus, cingulate gyrus, cingulate sulcus, medial frontal gyrus, paracentral sulcus, paracentral lobule, central sulcus, marginal sulcus, precuneus, parieto-occipital sulcus, cuneus, lingula, and calcarine sulcus and lingula. Then here is the cerebellum and great cerebral straight sinus, sorry, after joining of the great cerebral vein of Galen. So this is regarding the medial aspect. So this is regarding the medial aspect, and if you continue to see it downwards, you will see the structure that are present on the inferior aspect. And so here you can see below the calcarine sulcus on the this lingula, and lingula extends on the inferior surface and continues as the parahippocampal gyrus. This is the parahippocampal gyrus. This area, this is lingula. This is parahippocampal gyrus, and its extension in front as that bends like a knuckle, and that is called unus. That is called unus, and that is bounded on the lateral aspect by this sulcus, that is posteriorly called collateral sulcus, and anteriorly it changes its name. Posteriorly it's called collateral sulcus, and anteriorly it changes its name to rhinal sulcus, because rhinal sulcus has variable terminations. Then lateral to it, the gyrus that is present, that is the medial occipitotemporal gyrus, and lateral to that there is lateral occipitotemporal gyrus. So this was the collateral sulcus, and anteriorly continues as rhinal sulcus. So between medial and lateral occipitotemporal gyri, there is occipitotemporal sulcus, and this lateral occipitotemporal gyrus seamlessly continues as the inferior temporal gyrus of the lateral aspect. So these are shown in the picture by VRS, and here is the picture on the inferior aspect of brain by Netter's atlas. And here you can see all those structures again. So you will see here will be lingula, and there will be parahippocampal gyrus and uncus, and here will be collateral sulcus, and this continues as rhinal sulcus. This is the medial occipitotemporal gyrus, and it's bounded laterally by occipitotemporal sulcus, and this will be the lateral occipitotemporal gyrus that merges or seamlessly becomes the inferior temporal gyrus on the lateral aspect. If we see on the inferior aspect of the frontal lobe, you will see this structure. This is the olfactory bulb, and followed by the olfactory tract that divides into medial and lateral stria. If you remove the occipital, the olfactory tract, you will see this sulcus, in which this is also this is called olfactory sulcus. Medial to the olfactory sulcus, this is a straight gyrus. This is a straight gyrus called straight gyrus or gyrus rectus. And all of the rest, it is lying on the top of the orbit, on the top of the orbital plate of the frontal bone. So these are called orbital sulci. This is a picture from Snell's neuroanatomy, and you can see the labeling. And that's it. That's all the sulci and gyri of the brain. I hope it was helpful for you. If you have any questions, suggestions, feedback, please let me know. I will try to incorporate them in the upcoming lectures. You can visit our website. All these lecture presentations are present there. Facebook page and YouTube channel for upcoming lectures, and you can contact us with the information on my left hand or on this side. And see you next time.